that I retired, I put up on my board how many the countdown and marked and changed it every day. How many days was left till the end? Yeah, that's exactly.
It is 5:30. We want to welcome you all to our board meeting here on the Legacy campus on Thursday, the 17th of March, 2022. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. We'll start with roll call.
There's usually two people here. Steve Norton, Superintendent.
Roger Pulse, Board Member.
Terry Rhodes, Board Member.
Kathy Christiansen, Board Member.
Chris Corcoran, Board Member.
Jeff Nielsen, Board Member.
Jared Black, Business Administrator.
Larry Jepson, Board Member, and Randall Bagley, Board Member, are excused. Jeff Nielsen will lead us in the pledge and mission statement. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our mission is to educate students for success in a changing world.
Thank you, Jeff. Next, our favorite part of the agenda is recognitions. And first recognition that we get to enjoy this evening is the Skyview swim team who took state this year. They will be presented by, I don't see Ryan, so it's Principal Brady Fonsbeck. And can we have the boys swim team members come up, please? And Coach.
You can just go out and face the audience.
Face the audience? Okay. This is my first time, so we just want to take a moment and recognize these guys. They won the state 4A men's, is what it says on here, boys title in swimming. And they won by 79.5 points, if my math is correct, which was quite a big of a lead. So we also want to recognize Marcus. He was also voted as the 4A swim coach of the year, and is very well deserved. And before I give you the mic, one thing I want to do is, we had an email that was going around that the teachers and things were commenting on, and Natalie Tuller, who's also here, she said, as a mom of a four-year high school swimmer, it has been an immense privilege having Marcus as a coach. Marcus truly is the GOAT. I know that my son has been changed for the better and for the good because of Marcus. He pushes his team, believes in them, encourages them, and helps them reach heights they never thought possible. Wonderful life lessons that I will forever be grateful for. Marcus will leave a void in the program that cannot be filled, and we do want to recognize that he is stepping away after many years of success, and we're going to miss him, and he is just as great of a teacher as he is a swim coach, so take it away.
Thank you.
Wait, before you start, can we have the other boys come up here, please?
Yeah, we've had a few more boys walk in, Colin and Jacob. A lot of the other boys are doing track, and they had a meet today at Ridgeline, so I don't think they are done or back yet. So these are the boys who could make it, about a little less than half of the boys. We took about 16 boys to state, which is a pretty big group, and a lot of them seniors will be leaving, but it was 3 years in the making. We've spent the last 2 previous years taking second, and that's exciting, but not quite as exciting as taking first. So we're really proud of the accomplishments that they've made and the goals that they were able to achieve, and even some records broken. So we're proud of them and excited to see what they do next. Thank you.
Will you have the boys pass the mic and tell us their name and
Sure.
what they swam at state?
Sure.
I'm Jackson Tuller, and I swam on 2 relays and 2 individual events.
No, what events?
Sorry. I swam the 200 medley relay, the 400 freestyle relay, and the 100 backstroke and the 200 freestyle.
I'm Clayton Nye. I swam on, was it 2 relays or 1? I think it was 1. 1 relay, and it was the 200 free relay, and then I swam the 100 back and the 100 fly.
My name is Peter Gibbons. I swam on the 200 freestyle relay and the 400 freestyle relay. I also swam the 200 IM and the 100 freestyle.
Hi, I'm Jacob Lawyer. I swam the 500 freestyle and the 100 breast.
I'm Colton Deuce, and I swam the 2IM and 100 free.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, boys. Don't leave. You need. Thanks for representing us so well, men. If we can we have the parents and families of these guys stand up who are here supporting them? Because we know it doesn't happen without that. On to our Teachers of the Year. First we have from Spring Creek, Cece Craner, and her award will be presented by Blair Powell, principal at Spring Creek.
Thank you. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a short history lesson.
We need Cece up here.
Cece, thank you. Sorry. Cece started her career in Idaho and teaching at a alternative high school up in Central High School up in Rexburg, Idaho. And Cece, after that, moved to another alternative high school in Soda Springs and taught there for a few years. And then arrived here in Cache Valley, tried to get into secondary schools, but wasn't able to get in quite like she wanted, and ended up working as an aide for a few years and getting an elementary degree. So picked up a second bachelor's degree, and eventually found her way to Millville Elementary, where she met Julie Pickett, who happened to be married to a principal who was looking for somebody for his to teach English and teach some other things. And Blake Pickett hired Cece and brought her to our Spring Creek family. We're so grateful that he did, because she's been a great part of our family. Let me tell you a little bit about Cece. When we were in COVID and we were doing our teaching our classes via Zoom or whatever we could, Cece dressed up every day in a different outfit. I mean, she went all out. Her students, one day she was a superhero, Superman, or that could have been just a regular thing, I don't know. But every day she was a different character. She was trying really hard to just get her kids excited about learning and excited about logging in and seeing what would happen that day. And she had great success. I heard from a lot of students about how they couldn't wait to see when she ran out of all of her costumes. She said that would never happen. Cece has a background in theater and in dance performance, and so she's acquired a lot of costumes over the years. But also she's developed the ability to get people enthused about learning or enthused about being at school. She is our resident cheerleader. When there's something at Spring Creek we want the students to get excited about, we call on Cece. And she usually puts together some skit or some way of getting teachers involved and acting in ways that they didn't know they would, coming out of their shells and connecting with students. One of the things that is often said about Cece amongst our staff is that she is a true professional. Her first concern is always for the students. She treats them as individuals. Her ESL students love her and respect her. And that's not always, that's a fine balance sometimes to walk, but she does it well. Probably the greatest compliment that I can give to Cece comes from the way that she always is willing to do whatever it takes. When we have team meetings, her attitude is always, what can I do to help? How can I help? What can I do for you? And that not only happens in our staff, but amongst her students as well. She truly wants everyone around her to be successful, and that's a mark of a great leader. So we are proud to award Cece Craner as our Teacher of the Year. That's the surprise.
I didn't prepare anything. I will now treat you with a monologue from. No. Thank you. I've been at Spring Creek 8 years, but it's my 19th year of teaching. So I don't know, it's a surprise. And it's a nice surprise. And like Blair said, I do try to just really focus on the students and having fun at the same time and trying to make the job so that it's somewhere I want to go every day. And the people I'm with, they're the best colleagues ever. So thank you. Appreciate the recognition, and thanks that I could be a part of Cache County. Thanks for giving me a chance.
Let me get a picture.
Can we have those who are here with Cece please stand? Next, we have Alicia Rollins from Green Canyon High School. She is here with Principal Dave Swenson.
It's my pleasure to present to you Alicia Rollins. She's our life skills teacher. She's been with us for 2 years. Actually, she started her career when she was in high school being a peer tutor. And so about 2 years ago, she was just finished her student teaching, and we were able to interview her. Actually, she did her student teaching in elementary with the life skills and was not sure about the secondary ed, and she just jumped right in. And so just within those short 2 years, she's endeared herself to our faculty and our staff and the students at Green Canyon High School. You know, I just put a couple things here. You know, she has this small little frame and young looks, but she commands attention to her students and also to our faculty members. She's just a positive ray of sunshine throughout and upbeat and always smiling. And, you know, I've seen her in action, especially with students that are in a tumultuous situation, whether she's being spit on, hit at, yelled at, screamed at, whether she's changing kids, showering them, feeding them, all those things. She keeps this composure and this smile that calms them down very, very quickly, and it's pretty amazing what she does. Let me just share with you a couple things her colleagues have said about her. Alicia does an amazing job working with students with disabilities. She seems to always have her students' aides on task. Her department does a great job in handling tough situations with a positive attitude. Another colleague, we have never seen her without a smile on her face, even when difficult things arise. She is incredibly positive. She loves what she does, and it shows. She's like a little package of dynamite filled with confetti. If the dynamite went off, if the dynamite went off, it would explode with happiness and excitement. We're so lucky to have her at our school. And anyway, there's another one that just goes on forever about just her, the same thing, what she does. One of the neat things is she's got a crew here that we have Georgie here, that's her colleague that also teaches life skills because of our numbers. And those two are, I call them our Bobsey twins. They are just they're kind of almost two in a pair. So she almost kind of gets this award also. And some of her aides that are here. But they've also take on all kinds of assignments. We had our armed force or our special forces day in the fall, where we brought all the life skills kids and special ed kids in for a day to at Green Canyon High School. Georgie and Alicia were the backbone behind that and the creator of that, and which was a lot of fun. Also, she's a member of our Hope Squad, and also conducted our Special Olympics basketball. So it's just amazing what she does and her excitement, and she works so hard, and her influence reaches far beyond the classroom. And so I just want to present to you Alicia Rollins as our Teacher of the Year at Green Canyon High School.
I hate speaking to people I don't know, so kids are easy, adults are hard. I like teaching. I had a student who wanted to be a teacher, but she wasn't sure. She came back. She texted me, "Hey, can I come talk to you?" And I said, "Sure." And I've only known her for a year. And she said, "Why shouldn't I become a teacher?" And I said, I sat there for like 10 minutes. I don't know. And she goes, "Okay, I think I'm going to do it then." So hopefully she likes it, because I couldn't give her a reason why not to do it. So I just love teaching. So yeah, thank you.
They're like a family up here. And Georgie, and Trisha, she's a student teacher with us. They've been so much. They just like to say, come here, Trisha.
Is there anyone else here with Alicia? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Congratulations. Next up, we have Brittany Wall from Millville, and her award will be presented, and she'll be introduced by Brady Johnson, principal at Millville.
Thanks, sir. There she comes. At Millville, we have a situation, I don't know that it's necessarily unique, but we have bubbles of students that move through. There's something in the water every couple of years, and there happens to be a bubble of enrollment. And that makes a problem because we always have some teachers that have to bounce around, that they don't know from one year to the next what grade level they're going to teach. Unfortunately, Brittany had that opportunity for several years, where she didn't know from one year to the next what grade she would be teaching, but she always had a smile on her face and was just willing to do whatever it took. She was happy to be in a classroom, to be working with kids, to tackle a new curriculum, and that's all that mattered to her. It didn't matter what level it was, but she was willing to do whatever it took. And as an administrator, you can't buy that kind of willingness and that kind of professionalism. And as her principal, I couldn't appreciate that anymore. And nothing made me happier than being able to give her a place to say, guess what? You're going to know next year what grade level you're going to teach. And from here on out, as long as you want to teach that grade level, it's yours. But that was my first relationship with Brittany, was her willingness to do whatever was needed. To kind of give a little bit more perspective, I reached out to several of her colleagues and even a couple of students. So if you'll bear with me, this kind of sums up everything that Brittany Wall means to Millville Elementary. Brittany is the type of teacher you want on your staff and you want your own children to have. She goes the extra mile and is willing to help you as a teacher with any question or concern you have about any student. If you're struggling with an idea on how to teach some curriculum, Brittany is always willing to take time and give you ideas. She's taught many grade levels and has used that experience to become an amazing teacher. She cares deeply for her students and is constantly looking for ways to help them be more successful. Brittany has the ability to create great relationships with her students, and more than once I have seen students who have struggled with behavior or academic problems in previous years have a successful year when they are in Brittany's class. She's an amazing asset to our school, and we're grateful to have her. In addition to that, and speaking to some of our students, I got a common thread, and I don't know that there's a higher compliment that can be paid to a teacher. They say, I know Mrs. Wall loves me, and that she cares about me, and she wants me to be successful. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't think of anybody more deserving of this award from Millville this year. So congratulations, Brittany, on Teacher of the Year.
Thank you. I'm not usually at a loss for words, but thank you. I was surprised they didn't say how funny I was. But usually that's the first thing they say, that my teacher jokes are better than dad jokes. So thanks.
I've got to have a picture.
Congratulations, Brittany. Can we have those who are here with Brittany please stand? Next, we have Megan Robertson from Mountainside. She will be presented by Principal Cam Abbott.
This is my first one of these I get to do because we didn't get to do these last year. And I can't think of a more deserving teacher to start off with than Megan Robertson. Megan is in her 5th year at Mountainside Elementary, and she is our life skills teacher. And she works miracles with the kids that she works with. I just wanted to share some of the things that some of her colleagues and one of her parents had to say about Megan's classroom. One of her fellow teachers said, Megan loves her students like they are her own. She dedicates so much time and energy to making sure her students have the support and services that they need to be successful. I don't think that many of us realize what it takes to plan around kindergarten through 6th grade schedules. But despite all of that, she makes sure her students are included in the general education classrooms whenever possible. She's a true example of what it means to be an advocate for your students. Megan is an amazing coworker and an amazing friend. Go spend 5 minutes in her classroom and you will gain respect for her and her job. There is no one better for Mountainside's Teacher of the Year. And one of Megan's parents just said, Mrs. Robertson works miracles in her classroom with our student. So one of my favorite things is to watch Megan chase her kids around the school. She's got great, and you think they might get away with her current condition, but she's pretty speedy. So she catches those kids. And my favorite thing about Megan out at Mountainside is just the way that she is a resource for other teachers. She's obtained her master's degree in behavior, and she's definitely a resource for a lot of our teachers out there. And we're so grateful to have Megan on our staff, and she is more than deserving of Mountainside's Teacher of the Year for this year.
Thank you. I'm a little bit biased, but I do think that Mountainside is probably the best school to teach at. Being a life skills teacher can be a little bit isolating. We don't usually have a team that we work on. We have other special educators in our school, but life skills can be a little isolating. So it's exciting for me to see another life skills teacher as well be Teacher of the Year, but I'm especially lucky because CAM has created an environment that's super inclusive of my students and includes me and the faculty as well, and so I'm just grateful to teach at Mountainside.
Congratulations, Megan. Can we have those who are here with Megan please stand? And last but not least, Mr. Richard Rigby from Birch Creek, and he will be presented by Principal Trudy Wilson.
Hi, everyone. If you don't know Mr. Rigby, I'm surprised because he has greeted every single person as they've walked in today. I'm excited to recognize him as our Teacher of the Year. Just a little bit of background on Richard. When I asked him to give me some information, the very first thing he said was, well, I'm a male. Now, let me clarify that. He is the only male at Birch Creek Elementary. Female principal, female head custodian, it's Richard. So that says a lot right there. Richard grew up in Montpelier, the oldest of 12, and then 13 children in his family. He graduated from USU with his bachelor's and also his master's degree. He's been married to Sarah for almost 28 years. Bless her heart. And he has 6 children and 2 grandchildren all on the back row there. He does love spending time with his wife and kids, being outside and fishing in small streams. He does work for the he manages the Cache Mosquito Abatement District as well. So we can thank him for no mosquitoes around. He told me he wanted to become a teacher because of all the kind things that were said about his grandfather, Grandpa Rigby, who was a great teacher that people admired. Some things that Richard, his colleagues have shared about him is he's always willing to help wherever he's needed, and that's something that everyone admires about him. He's the safety guy. He also helps with our tough behaviors. He's always on call. He has the ability to be firm but yet compassionate with all of his kids. He can build lasting relationships that just go on for years with not only his students but their parents as well. Also, he's really helped out with our learning lab after school, along with most of the staff on the back there. His kids have helped out a lot. I kind of joke he's our second counselor because we have people that say we couldn't have survived this year without him. He listens, lets us vent, and then encourages us when we need it. Richard did start teaching in 1998. He made it to Summit Elementary in 2001. Don't cry. And I've known Richard since I was a principal at Summit in 2004, and I had the pleasure of having all of his kids there who apparently I scared to death, so I apologize. He then moved to Birch Creek in 2010, and he's been teaching 4th grade his whole career in Cache. He does have the growth mindset, which his students all realize. We have really studied trauma-informed education, and it's right up his alley. He knows kids aren't going to learn without being loved. When we listened to our PD last Friday, and Kevin Brown said a hero is an extraordinary person who chooses not to be ordinary. That's Richard. We're crybabies. We cry together. He's amazing. I present Richard Rigby.
My wife's not going to appreciate this, but the only reason I got this award is because I have to deal with all the estrogen.
It's true.
I don't like to get up here in front of people, but I do enjoy what I'm doing. I was with Kathy the other day at a school community council, and she said she'd heard a lot about this being a hard school year for a lot of people, and this year has not been hard for me. It's been an easy year. Not that we haven't had hard kids or students, but it hasn't been a hard year. It's been a fun year and a challenging year, in which if we're not challenged, we're not growing. And so that's kind of the mindset that I've taken, and I appreciate those who have shared that with me. And I guess, thank you.
Well deserved.
Congratulations, Richard. And now can we have Richard's fan club stand up, please? Thank you all for coming. That is the end of our recognitions part of the agenda. You are all welcome to stay for the business part if you'd like. But if you want to escape, this is the time. It's a really fun one. Next on our agenda is public input, and I am informed that we have none. So we will move on to the consent agenda, and I will take a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda as printed. All in favor, please vote electronically.
Voting is closed and the motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to our action agenda, our first item on this agenda is to approve the October 2021 Career and Technical Education Audit Report and CTE Annual Safety Plan.
I had a chance to present just the results to you about a month ago. And really what's required from the board is that the board needs to be aware of the CT Annual Safety Plan. Not that it's policy, but that it's guidelines and that you're aware of it and you approve it. So that's what I'm asking from the board tonight, is for that approval for those guidelines.
Okay, I will take a motion on the state CTE safety plan for the CCSD CTE, oh, that's a lot of acronyms, safety plan.
I move that we approve the district CTE annual safety plan.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the district CTE safety plan. All in favor, please vote electronically.
Voting is closed and the motion to approve the CTE safety plan passes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is, thank you, Mike, for the first one. And now to the second one. Next on the list is the request for approval of the proposed 2022-2023 school fees. I will take a motion.
I move that we approve the 2022-2023 school fees.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the proposed 2022-2023 school fees. Are there any questions or discussion? Great. We will vote electronically. Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Voting is closed and the motion to approve the 2022-23 fee schedule passes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the request for approval of the Millville School Land Trust Funds amendment, and I will take a motion.
I move that we approve the Millville Land Trust Funds amendment.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the request for Millville School Land Trust Funds Amendment. All in favor, please vote electronically.
Do we want questions or anything?
Oh, any discussion or questions? He did such a good job last time that he presented. We have none.
Voting is closed, and the motion to approve the Millville Land Trust amendment passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brady. Last but not least, we have a request to approve the School Land Trust Plan amendment, or the trust plan for fiscal year 23 and the fiscal year 22 plan amendment for Intech Charter High School. Principal Stanger is here to answer any questions. Do you want to present any information that you feel we need to have on this?
Yeah, just briefly on the trust land amendment. We had some savings and some expected expenditures for training since teachers couldn't go much of anywhere. And then also in our early college funding, we found another grant. And so we're just reallocating that to purchase more texts and e-texts to kind of renew our curricular materials. So that's the amendment.
Awesome.
And the school trust land plan is similar to plans that you've seen in the past. It ain't broke yet, so we're still doing those same things.
Excellent. All right. So I will take a motion.
I move that we approve the 2023 School Land Trust Plan and the 2022 Plan Amendment.
I second it.
Is there any discussion? Does anyone have questions for Principal Stanger? Your plans are very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will please vote electronically.
Voting is closed, and the motion to approve the Intech fiscal year 23 school land trust plan and the fiscal year 22 plan amendment passes.
Thanks for coming. Next up, we have our reports agenda, and we are excited to hear from Matt Dugdale about a potential bond refunding project.
Good evening. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
If I'd known there'd be some green in the room, I would have worn my green suit coat that's in my car that my son dared me to wear, but I chickened out last minute.
Did you get that at Augusta?
I don't know where my wife got it. No, thank you so much for having me. The problem with the bond guy at a microphone is we can go on forever, but I will avoid that. But thank you again for having me, and appreciate working, of course, with the district and working with Jared and getting to know him. And really just want to congratulate the district on continuingly having such a wonderful survey of your bond portfolio. You, for any of the patrons of the district that are listening to this meeting or here, the district has a great history of being great stewards over its bonding portfolio, taking advantage of savings when they're available, and really managing things in a very positive way. My goal today was just to share a brief snapshot of the marketplace and update the board on a potential opportunity similar to last year, and walk you through and give you the information that you need to make your decisions. Suffice it to say, and Tim, thank you for running that. If you could go ahead and move the slides ahead. I won't go into depth here. I know we have a few mathematicians on the board and statisticians, but suffice it to say, we've been in a very low interest rate environment, and that is rapidly changing. If you've driven by the mortgage rate billboards, you've seen those tick up, and in our market, the same thing is happening. And the Fed yesterday raised the bank-to-bank borrowing rate by 0.25%, and that was the first increase we've seen since December of 2018. And so that has trickled through our market and other markets, and we suspect that the Fed will live up to what it's projected in continuing to do that throughout the year to counter some inflationary pressures. What happens is certainly unknown, but in view of that and through that lens, we've thought about what can we do for the district and for taxpayers that we will be happy we did now when we look back a year from now, when rates are higher. And so a brief history, and Tim, maybe you could move ahead 1, 2, 3 slides. Again, I don't want to bore you too much about the market, but we can certainly dig deeper. But last year, the board took advantage of the lowest interest rates we've ever seen and refunded a big piece of your 2014 bonds. And that was a very successful refunding. And it was a strategy that Preston and I call a scoop and pull, where we take longer debt and we bring it forward and reap those savings of almost similar to refinancing a 30-year mortgage into a 15-year mortgage. Your payment either stays the same or may get higher, but you're able to pay that debt off earlier. The strategy last year was to take those last 6 maturities, pull that debt forward, but keep the board's payment the same. And so your tax levy for taxpayers was neutral, but you were able to cut 5 years off the debt. And in doing so, the economic gain that you reaped for taxpayers was about $7.5 million in present value dollars. So it was a very effective refunding and highly successful. You issued those bonds at 1.2%. They were bought by R.W. Baird, and you had a lot of bidders, and it was very successful. And Tim, if you could maybe go ahead 1 slide. Again, this shows the savings again, the $7.5 million, how those bonds were structured. I'm happy to dig in deeper. I know that, again, that was very successful. But if you go maybe forward 3 slides, if you would, Tim. So we refunded those, and we do have some remaining pieces of that 2014 bonds that can be refunded for savings. And if you go to the next slide, this illustrates that just over $24 million that we can refund in the blue. So this would be what we call the belly maturities. Why didn't we refund those last year? Because, again, we were trying to bring the longest debt forward and keep your tax levy neutral. And we couldn't do that and refund all the debt at the same time. And so now we are left with a great opportunity to refund those belly maturities. And currently, although the savings are not as enticing as last year, Tim, if you'd advance 1 slide, we're projecting those savings to be close to $800,000 on a present value basis. And again, it's not as much as we refunded last year. The refundable bonds are lower. And these bonds, again, being belly maturities, we call them, to bring them forward a little bit, we can do what we did last year in keeping your debt service tax rate neutral, but also reap some benefits, but basically keep those bonds in the same footprint and reap similar savings to what you see on the screen. But we have a lot of flexibility in how to structure these, but again, wanted to at least bring it to your attention to let you know that these bonds are refundable for savings and another economic gain for the district. Let me hit pause and perhaps answer any questions you might have. But perhaps I'll maybe talk timeline real quick. Tim, if you'd advance 1 slide. If the board would like to move forward with this, we would propose that when you meet back in April, you would consider a parameters resolution, and that just starts the statutory timeline for a bond issuance. 30 days has to pass between the adoption of that parameters and when you can actually sell the bonds. But by adopting a parameters resolution, it does not lock you into even moving forward. And I would propose that if you did want to move forward, I would work with Jared and just monitor the mathematics of the refunding. And if they continue to stay positive despite rising interest rates, we could certainly pull the trigger. But if it gets away from us, then we could certainly hit pause and refund those at a future date. But at least the board has taken that constitutional step so that we can pull the trigger when it's most advantageous to the district. Now I'll hit pause. Again, you get a bond guy talking. Happy to answer any questions you might have and clarify anything I may have missed.
I have a question. So this pulls, did I see on one of the slides that we still have, on that slide, we still have some bonds in the series of 2014 that are not refinanced, right?
Yes, yes. So those maturities that you see in black, or actually that was the perfect slide, Tim, if you could go back. If you'd go down on, let's see, I think it was just a couple more slides past that. Keep going, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So those black maturities, those are non-callable. And so when you sell bonds, the convention in the tax-exempt marketplace is a certain amount of your bonds are non-callable, and so investors hold those to maturity. Market standard is about 10 years, and so those represent the maturities through 2024 that are non-callable.
Okay.
So we cannot refinance those.
Okay. I can't remember, are these our oldest?
These are, you do have some prior bonds. Yep, that's perfect, Tim. The 2013 bonds, those are non-callable, those maturities, so you're still paying on those, but these are your second oldest bonds. And I think, Superintendent, these were the bonds for the high school projects, and we're done at just such a great time. Imagine having to finance those today. So again, just just a great case study and making the right decisions at the right time.
Anybody else have questions for Matt? Thank you so much for your counsel and your guidance. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we'll continue to be in touch. And thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Oh, thank you very much.
Next on our reports agenda, we have the monthly financial report for February 2022 by Business Administrator Jared Black.
All right, let me just add to Matt's presentation. He and I will continue to work on this between now and the meeting on the 14th, and we'll get you information beforehand that has, so you can see what the parameters resolution would look like and have that to you a week or two before that meeting.
All right, thank you.
For our February financial report, financially speaking, February is not that exciting of a month, so it was a little bit ho-hum. But I did share with board members our revenue and expenditure reports for the month, and then our proof of cash, which is balanced out well. Kind of the one significant thing that we did see in February was a fairly major mid-year update from USBE. We got pieces of that in December and January, and normally we get the whole thing in December, but we ended up getting the bulk of it in February. So we've applied those budget updates in Munis to the programs that are affected there. And then just as a kind of a conclusion, as of the end of February, we've received $156 million in revenues and expended $127 million. And that's fairly typical that our revenues would exceed expenditures at this point in the year because the state will forward fund a lot of programs. In addition, we've received the majority of our property taxes that we'll spend out through the year. So tracking similar to what we have in previous years.
So when you say tracking similar to previous years, that means that we have collected most of our property tax at this point? Okay.
Yes, we'll get another fairly large payment probably in April. Where I worked in Emory, the timeline was a little different, but I looked at what was received last year and the year before, and in April there's another fairly large payment. I think we're around 90% of collections right now, and that additional 10% will come in April.
Okay. Anyone else have questions for Jared? All right. Moving on, we have board member reports, and I know there are several, so speak up.
I'll go ahead and speak up. And Mike was there yesterday for Bridgerland's groundbreaking for their new health science building. A great asset to Cache Valley and to our district he mentioned yesterday that those people who are working in Logan Regional Hospital, 400 of them started at Bridgerland, and they continued on into the health program. And now having this health science building, it'll be a great plus. It was a great opportunity for me as a Board of Trustee member for Bridgerland to handle the golden shovel one time. So I'd never been able to do that, so I got to turn over a pile of dirt, so it was kind of fun.
Awesome.
And they had good refreshments too, Mike. You left too early.
Thanks for being there to represent us, Roger. That's great. Do you suppose that now that we're going to have a new vet program at USU, that the vets in the Valley will increase too?
I think so. And the program at Bridgerland, the animal science thing, is they have a waiting list all the time. So having USU get that, it'll be a great benefit for all of us.
Yeah, we should all thank Senator Sandall for his efforts there. Jeff, do you want to talk about Ridgeline Accreditation?
Yes, Terry and I had opportunity to be on an interview the other day with the accreditors, and Terry did very well, and
so did Jeff.
It was interesting, the process, and it'll be interesting to see how the report turns out. So,
excellent. Chris, do you have anything to update us on?
I can't remember. Did you update everybody about what
No.
I texted you and Tim about? I think I told you before that I was going to appeal to President Cockett to give us some relief. So I've been working with USU Events, and I sent a proposal to her that suggested that they waive, the main rental fee. It's not the entire cost, but the main rental fee, which is about $3,000 a year to rent the Spectrum. I just suggested to her that we do that for a period of 3 years, that Utah State do that, as a way to just kind of maybe make a post-COVID reset so that USU can work with the district in the way that they have been to respond to the needs of the high schools, to make the ceremonies more personal, more fun, spread them out a little bit. And she ended up approving that. So that was while I was gone for USU spring break last week. So I texted Tim and Terry. So that's good news. It means basically $3,000 of savings per year for the next 3 years. And perhaps, the people that work on events at Utah State are very, very experienced in terms of, generating sponsorships. I think there's a good chance if we do this well over the next few years, we could actually turn it into kind of a cost-free event ultimately. We can have sponsors cover some of the more incidental costs. I just got an email a couple of days ago, so I think you can maybe expect something, Tim and Mike, from the university. They're going to send another itemized, kind of in the same way they have in the past. But like I said, the main rental fee, that's the $3,000 for the Spectrum itself, which I think our gut feeling, all of us, should be $3,000 to rent the Spectrum for 4 graduations is pretty cheap anyway. But it's still it's seven. They were charging $750 per school basically, so $3,000 total out of the whole bill to the district. So it's still a good chunk of change, even though. Even though I think they were still kind of giving the district a bargain anyway. But anyway, so that's good news. So hopefully that can launch us into, doing something fun for the next few years that will maybe establish some new traditions, some new ways of doing things.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, Chris. Thanks for following up with that. So each high school will save $750 on their graduation at USU.
Are they charging the other fees? Or
yeah,
are they...
but I think they're trying to minimize all of that as much as they can.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay.
So, in our conversations, I don't know how you feel, Mike and Tim. I feel like, in our conversations with the high schools, I think they were maybe underestimating what the actual cost was of doing it at the high schools. So. Not certainly in terms of cash, but especially in terms of time. And so, overall, I think this is going to be far more economical, in addition to just all the other things we've talked about, unlimited access for guests and so on, protection from the elements. But now that we're also spreading things out, it will allow it'll allow us to do some things that are fun without feeling like everybody has to be bum rushed right away as soon as their ceremony's over with for their high school. So it should be fun. See how it works.
Great. Thank you for that report. Kathy?
I'll just give a short report, especially for you, Jessica, on the equity and inclusion meetings. Alden Jack, oh my gosh. Alden Jack conducted those with all of the 4 high schools, and the first meetings that he has conducted have been with teachers only and secretaries in some of those. And I did go to Skyviews and Green Canyons, and he did a really fantastic job in getting them to speak up and say what their concerns were. And we found in both schools there were some great things going, but also that each school kind of had individual issues to deal with. And now he has opened it up for anyone to submit names, and you might want to do this, Jessica, of teachers who, or not teachers, but parents and students who might be good on a committee to do the same thing with, get their input. So that's where we are right now. He's finished with the teachers, and he's moving forward with parents and students.
Does anyone else have thoughts about, because we've all visited them now, the equity and inclusion discussions with teachers. Any thoughts that you want to add to Kathy's?
So is his master plan, I don't think I've seen that. Do you know what that is, Terry? Or
he's sort of he's waiting to formulate the master plan with the central committee for that until after his listening tour.
Okay.
Until the listening tour is over, to just get a feel for what's happening. And the 2 schools that I visited, I think, sound similar to what. It's so fun because he goes in and asks teachers to talk first about what's great about their schools. And every teacher in the school that we have visited with expresses a lot of, and chime in if this was different than your experience, but they're all proud of their schools and what their students are doing and what they're doing with their students at their schools. And as he turns them toward what kind of challenges are we seeing, it's interesting. They have plenty. All our schools have plenty of great things about them, and that the teachers see, and some places where we do need to make some improvements. So I think that he's taking a lot of notes, and as he does this listening tour now with parents and then with students, then he can have a lot of anecdotal data as far as feelings and culture and climate, and then move forward pairing that with data from that area of life, equity, and inclusion. So
the only thing I was a little surprised about, and it was probably my own ignorance, but the the participants were, I was expecting maybe a little different group to be in the participants, because I didn't know exactly what his plan was. But anyway, he did a really good job at it.
And there's a monthly meeting for the main committee, which Chris and I are on. Are you on that, or were you? Mm-hmm. So the 3 of us are on.
Okay.
And so his plan is, when he gets all of this data, he'll compile it and give us all a report of what he's discovered so far. And that will come to the main committee, but I'm not sure what that's going to do with the board, but I'm sure we can get it if we would like to.
Well, the main committee is having a meeting on Monday, and I assume that at that meeting he will give the data that he's gathered so far from listening to teachers.
Okay.
Do you want something sooner? I mean,
no, like I said, it was probably my own ignorance that I just didn't understand what what exactly he was trying to do in that meeting. But
Well, none of us did.
Yeah.
We were there to listen.
yeah.
That's our committee you're talking about is meeting on Monday?
Mhm.
What time is it?
9, isn't it? 9 a.m.
I'm looking.
It's at 9.
Yes.
9. In the Bridger room.
All right.
Anybody else have anything to report? Thank you all for your work. It's so. I was in the Uinta Basin on. What is today? Thursday, Tuesday. In my USBA role to do some training for their the 3 school boards there, Daggett, Uinta, and Duchesne, and they have a lot of new school board members on each of those boards, but the newest one has been there for 10 days, and it was very interesting to discover some of the personal agendas that some of those people came to their boards with, and some struggles that they've had because of those. And I'm just, every time I visit another board that has issues like that, I'm just so grateful for all of you and how well you work together and are patient even when we don't agree, which we don't, but it's okay. And like Tim says, it's always good to have some contention and debate because that's how good things come about. And I appreciate each of you for the work that you do, and I also am grateful for our superintendent for creating such a culture of inclusion, but also of peace. In our district, there's a lot of peace, and I appreciate that. Through his longevity here, he has built a really great culture of trust as well. And this new position that I have gives me opportunity to see a lot of other school boards and superintendents. And we are very blessed here to be able to work together as well as we do and to have such great district leaders to take care of our district for us so that we don't really have to worry about too much. It's awesome. Thank you so much for what you do. And now we're to the superintendent.
Well, thank you for those kind words. There are reciprocal things I'd like to say. If you are a superintendent, you know that you cannot do the things that you've been trained to do unless you have a board that actually supports you. And if you spend time having to always determine whose role is being played and what the role of the board is and what the role of administration is, if you have that figured out, you can spend 25 years in place. If you don't get that figured out, 1 year is pretty much all anybody would want to put in. This has been a great area to work with school board members. From the time I got here and until now, it has been a pleasure, and we appreciate, as people that you have hired to run your school district on a day-to-day basis, your policy setting and your support. So thank you. The other thing I'd like to talk about is we had a PD day on Friday. Kevin Day, who many of you heard,
Kevin
Brown, excuse me, heard down at USBA. I think it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. We always tried to get him to come because we figured if we brought him at the beginning of a year, we could use his theme for the whole year. And so with COVID and with everything, we just kept putting it off, and then we just decided to pull the trigger and I think it came at the right time, the right place. Our teachers were hungry for some good news, for just a feel-good day, and they got it. And Kevin is an outstanding individual who has a great message, and it's timeless. It wouldn't matter if you heard it 50 years ago or whether you hear it 50 years in the future. It's not a dated message, and it was really, really good. It is online for about another week, we know for sure. So if you missed it and you'd like to catch it, just contact Tim or anybody, Emily, and we'll give you the link, and you can go and watch it. It's well worth watching. And if you had family members that are living at home, kids, I guarantee you they would like what he has to say. And so I would just encourage you to take advantage while we still have it online. And I think we are going to get to the end of this year and have an end-of-year celebration. And as Tim said yesterday, we had, one case? And it's been about 2 years. Wow. Hopefully it doesn't rear its head again and we start down another road, but I think we can look in the rearview mirror, and maybe next year will be a year when we can just get back to the basics with our teachers. So thank you.
Okay, the last thing I have to tell you that I forgot to tell you on the board president report is that yesterday I had the opportunity to go with Tim and Gary and several other district administrators to the state board portrait of a graduate training. It's not the state board doing the training, it's a third party, I forget what they're called, Knowledge Tree, I think. Anyway, so because the state Office of Education really, 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 really wants every district to put a portrait of a graduate in place. We spent 6 or so hours together talking about that, and probably as we visited about that, probably what we're going to do is, or what the committee of people will do is create the portrait of a graduate to be one page of paper, front and back, that's very simple, that shows what the ideals are that we want kids to have when they leave Cache County schools. And once that's created, then the committee will invite teachers or invite principals to weigh in on what types of things need to be done to help kids have those traits, and then let teachers weigh in on on the details of how to get the kids to those anyway. So it will be a multi-step process and sort of a tiered process. And this will probably be the face of our strategic plan. It will be, our strategic plan will be absorbed into the portrait of a graduate after it's created. That's the goal. So that it's on one page and we can hand it to people who want to know what we expect kids to get from their education in Cache County schools. Anyway, just so you know that's going on.
Yeah, sounds good.
One last announcement, the celebration of the arts tomorrow at Ridgeline, 5 to 9.
And if you haven't been, it's great to
Yeah,
see
it
what
is.
those kids do.
It's so fun. I'm taking 3 grandsons, all under 4, so it'll be interesting.
Let them pick up the ceramics.
No kidding.
Well, I have one who will only want a microphone. Anyway, seeing that we're at the end of our agenda, we will adjourn. Thank you all for being here.